Tonight's hot seat debate, we're going to talk about the May 16th election, focus on the Slidell police chief race. Previously, Randy Fandel held the position. He is now mayor of Slidell. So we have two candidates who qualified for this race for police chief of Slidell. Mr. Tommy Williams, Republican. Also, Mr. Brian Nico is here. Both Republican candidates qualified for this race. We start with opening statements to tell us why you think you're the best candidate for this position. We're going to go alphabetical. So we'll start with you, Mr. Nico. Tell us why you think you're the best candidate to be police chief of Slidell.
Well, first, I would like to thank you, Ms. Sulla, and WDSU for having us. It's an honor and a privilege. Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Nico. I'm 61 years old. I'm a proud husband of my wife for 32 years, Leslie, and I'm the father of 5 children and 3 grandchildren. I've spent 35 years serving the people of Slidell in every capacity in every division that you can work for in the police department. I am 4th-generation police officer. Both my father, grandfather, and great-grandfather served in NOPD. I didn't choose this position or profession for politics. I actually felt the call to serve. I guess it's in my DNA, I don't know. But when I elected, I will be the chief since 1978, the only chief since 1978 to 82 that has come from the ranks of the Slidell Police Department. Everybody else has come from an outside agency. So I think that's an exciting thing to have for both of us, actually. And as your next chief, I will ensure the safety of both our officers and our citizens of Slidell. We're going to invest in training. We're going to definitely make sure that we're going to have the greatest technology, the latest technology, and we're going to concentrate on leadership. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nico. Mr. Tommy Williams, tell us in 60 seconds why you think you're the best candidate.
Thank you again, Ms. Sulla, for having us here. I'm Tommy Williams. I have 34 years of law enforcement experience and 8 years of military service. I bring proven leadership experience, direct hands-on supervision, decision-making, and years of being accountable to the citizens. I've managed budgets, written federal grants, and I own a small business. I've not just served, but I've led. During my U.S. Navy enlistment, I led a company of 64 men. I was chosen for this role for displaying the highest standards of personal character, attention to detail, academic achievement, and leadership abilities. I was even chosen or recommended for an officer commissioning program. I prepared myself through training, college, hard work, and dedication to lead this agency on day one. I've earned the respect of my peers, subordinates, and supervisors by adhering to 4 principles throughout my life: hard work, positive attitude, strict discipline, and a commitment to always doing extra. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Tommy Williams, thank you so much. I'm going to start off this next question about ICE and immigration enforcement. It's been in the headlines, as we know, and it's been prevalent in the news lately. And a lot of the city leaders I talked to actually want to know where you gentlemen stand on this. So we'll start with the 287G agreement, which for the viewers is a program where local law enforcement can partner with federal authorities on immigration enforcement. So, Mr. Tommy Williams, I'll start with you. If elected, will you sign the 287G agreement?
Yes. I will evaluate any memorandum of understanding with any federal or state partner or local partner in St. Tammany Parish, another agency or anything, based on public safety first. And I will also make sure that it is legal and compliant with our law and our city attorneys. So, and we have to build community trust. So we build community trust by having good laws and good memorandums of understanding with any agency. We already have a working relationship with ICE at the police department, and we don't go out and do their job. So basically what we do is we go, and if we come in contact with an illegal immigrant that has an attachment or a warrant, we would detain them. And then based on their findings, they will either have us transport them to the parish jail or hold them there until they can come and pick them up.
Okay, so to be clear, you will sign the memorandum?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nico, 60 seconds.
Thank you. Yes, I will sign the memorandum. And the memorandum of agreement with immigration has 3 components. There's a jail enforcement model, there's a task force model, and there's a warrant service program. Those are 3 models. The one that we probably already do is in our jail. Once a person's incarcerated, we run their name, and if they are illegal or have an ICE warrant, we will contact them. But the one that I like to start off with, it may be a progressive thing that we get into, is the jail enforcement model, because it brings clarity and safety to our citizens of Slidell. When we sign that agreement, it almost establishes a partnership with the federal government, and there's clear guidelines for both sides, and so you know what the playing field is. It protects the department legally and operationally, and ensures actions that we do follow federal standards. but also we have to make sure we follow our standards. And the citizens of Slidell are kind of worried because anytime the federal government comes in, they tend to get a little apprehensive. But I'm going to relax that apprehension and let them know that as police chief, we're going to make sure if they sign the agreement, we're going to do things that represent both sides. We're going to have to respect each other's house. But yes, we will sign it and we'll move forward with it.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Nico, I'll start with you with this next question. Some of the constituents in your district, or in Slidell I talked to, are concerned about crime trickling in from beyond the boundaries of Slidell. So if elected as chief, what is your plan to limit crime coming in from other cities? 60 seconds.
I like that question. I like the way you framed it. Now, when we talk about people coming in from all over and crime, what we do as a police officer, we're trained to deal with criminal behavior. We're not policing a city. We're not policing a group, an ethnicity. We're not profiling. What we profile, if you want to use that word, is the criminal behavior, flirtative behavior, certain known criminal trends, certain things that they do. So I will do like this. Bottom line, the core mission stays the same. Protect everyone. Apply the law fairly across the board and focus on criminal conduct, not demographics. So when people come in, I want them to feel like they're part of the family. They can sit at our table. We're going to talk to each other. And once we get them involved with the community, that's another set of eyes and ears. But if we don't welcome people and just label people, they might feel it's not my city, it's not my responsibility, it's not my problem. So they may not call when they should call the police, and they might be the one witness that puts the link chain in that solves the crime. So everybody's welcome to Slidell, but if you come here with bad intentions, we're going to put you in jail.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tommy Williams, in 60 seconds, if elected police chief, what would you do to prevent crime trickling in from beyond the boundaries of Slidell? And I ask this because a lot of residents are concerned about that.
Crime knows no boundaries. And basically, I'm a no-nonsense type of police officer. We will vigorously protect the citizens of Slidell. I don't care where you come from. If you come to our city and want to commit any kind of criminal activity, we're going to pursue you, arrest you, detain you, bring you back to Slidell, and we will book you in our jail. And if you need to go to the 22nd Judicial Jail in Covington, we will make sure that you get to where you need to go. So we have a tough on crime reputation now in Slidell. It's going to continue under my leadership as chief.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. The next question, 45 seconds. I'll start with you, Mr. Tommy, since you just ended the last one. Tell me what you think about training officers these days beyond traditional law enforcement skills, such as de-escalation, mental health response, or community engagement.
I'm an instructor at the police academy, so I believe in training. I've dedicated my whole career to training. I want to make sure that our officers receive the best training possible. We have a new thing in this world called AI, that you can take a picture of yourself and turn it into a character in 30 seconds. That is going to be something that we're going to have to deal with in the law enforcement arena, and there's no telling where it's going to go. So I can't stand here and tell you that we're going to do this to prevent it, because it's ever evolving. Our officers will get the best training that they can get for any type of situation. De-escalation is one. We already have that, and that's part of our annual training at the police academy.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Nico. What types of training do you think officers should get beyond traditional skills like mental health response, which is prevalent these days, de-escalation, community engagement?
I do agree with that. I also taught at the academy for several years, and I was teaching community policing, that teach them this, I guess, the way that we can integrate the community into the police force as far as another set of eyes and ears. And what I know is I believe in training. That's the benchmark of all the police departments, because that's the first thing they cut when money's tight. Mm-hmm. But I believe that's the most important thing is training, because when things hit and things get crazy, it's just training that you rely on. So we're going to train for domestic. There are issues. Yes, we've been doing domestic violence training for 20 years now, 25, 30 years. But I believe we can always do better, always train better. And also as far as crime trends and also mental health, that's an ongoing thing. It changes every year. And what I would like to do is, you're right, meet whatever the citizens need, whatever the community needs, we're going to train aggressively. And one last thing before I finish. Police work has always been reactive. But as police chief, I'm going to start being proactive. We need to start doing things ahead of time as we see the crime trends instead of waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, Mr. Williams want to respond.
I want to say something about the reactive. You're reactive when you're dispatched to a call. We're proactive in our daily mission. Everything we do is proactive police work, whether it be sitting on the side of the road, typing a report, being visible, making sure criminals see us. So I don't agree with that being a reactive type agency. I've never been reactive except being dispatched to calls. I'm very proactive. I've done that my entire career. I've made thousands of arrests, thousands of cases, and the men and women at that police department know me, and they know that I am all about going and get them.
Yeah, and I'll give you 30 seconds to rebuttal.
Thank you. I guess maybe I didn't articulate myself right. When I say reactive or proactive, I mean there are crime trends that the federal government gets and sees from other states first. We're in Louisiana. Stuff might happen in New York and California first. And we may be concentrated on what's going on here because we got our hands tied. We're dealing with what we got to deal with. But as the chief of police, I'm going to have my finger to the pulse of what's going on around the nation. I want to be ready before it gets to Slidell. If there's a drug trend, if there's a crime trend, I want to make sure that we're ready and our officers are trained to say, look out for this. It's not here yet, but it may be coming.
Yeah. So 30 seconds for this next question for you, Mr. Nico. I know you've been touting the proactive approach, DARE, community policing, neighborhood policing. What is your plan in 30 seconds to do more of a reactive or enforcement kind of policing?
Reactive and enforcement.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to get the police officers back on the street. I'm putting neighborhood patrols together with bicycles and golf carts. They're going to be meeting the public face to face because in the Tahoes, the tinted windows make it very difficult for us to see the citizens and them to see inside the car. And in my day, when we got hired, we had to roll our windows down and just so we can hear and smell the neighborhood, just become a part of it, and we can be, meet the people. On Sundays, everybody's barbecuing and get out and talk to the people. So NOPD used to have a thing called park your car, walk the neighborhood, and talk to people. That's why I'm doing the bicycles and the golf carts. And then they will also turn into a reactive force. If crime trends occur, I can switch them from shaking hands to go in and react to the crime trend.
That's time. And then, Mr. Williams, you had more of an enforcement kind of approach. What will you do to do more community neighborhood policing and proactive approach to prevent crime?
Well, our police department has been virtually the same size since my dad worked here. So other than us hiring the resource officers in the school, we have had no large increase in numbers. I would like to increase the officers by at least 10. That gives us more visibility. That allows you to be more proactive, be more visible, and prevent more crime.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Mr. Nico, on your website, I noticed you talked about a program called Work Instead of Lockup program for qualified adult offenders. Describe in detail what the program will look like and the cost associated with that.
Well, the way...
The 45 seconds.
Thank you. I know that the DA and some of the area agencies are already working to that with VOTEC, with the technical college. They're allowing some of the inmates or people to go on diversion and go to school to get trained in different things, electrician, plumber, whatever they want. My idea was I have a group of contractors that already have businesses in Slidell, and they're willing to take low-level offenders who may be getting probation, or maybe they've served a year in jail, or maybe in lieu of serving time will go to work, and it would be beholden to their employer and also me to make sure they're doing everything they're supposed to. If they fail, it's not a question of like, you may want to be a plumber, but that's not your job. You may want to switch to being an electrician. What we want to do is give them the tools to be able to earn a living so they don't think about crime anymore. And I think with that, joining with what the DA is doing with VOTEC, there's a great opportunity to work together.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Williams, you said in previous debates that you plan to hire roughly 10 more people, lieutenant sergeants, some of those positions. Describe in detail your plan and where that money would come from. Would the budget support such a move?
The budget will. We are well funded at the police department. We just had a millage passed, a couple of years ago where the police department has extra money besides the annual budget that we get from the city, which is somewhere around $18 million. So we have probably 3 to 6 more that is coming in. What I want to do is increase the number of officers by 10. We've already restructured the police department. I want to make a criminal operations division. So you'll take my canine officers, my traffic officers, my SWAT team, all of my specialized units, put them under one leadership, one chain of command from a captain, a lieutenant, and a sergeant, and then they can be deployed as we see crime trends occurring in whatever neighborhood it happens to be or whatever the crime is, drugs, whatever, narcotics, all of that will fall under that division.
All right. Thank you so much. Mr. Nico, the next question is for you. 30 seconds. You've said in previous debates, and you've been touting your experience in a variety of departments at the police department. And some may say that's good because you have a good knowledge of all the areas, but others are saying that you were shuffled around too many times, you didn't commit to one department for a long time. What is your response to people who may say that?
I have a great response to that. Now, when you say shifted around, sent around, not necessarily accurate, but I was always willing to say yes. Whenever they said, can you do more? I said yes. Do you want more? I said yes, because I like a challenge. So we all start off as a patrol officer. And in that job, I've been sent to do communication, work in dispatch when it was short. I worked in the jail when it was short. And then as I moved up with rank and I became a staff sergeant, which is a merit promotion, I was doing the DARE program, juvenile detective. I did CLEAR, which is the accreditation process. So I've worked in every division, which gives me a 360 viewpoint of how it works with budgets. I had to learn procurement, budgeting, and everything. So I don't have a myopic view of the department. I literally have a 365-degree view.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Williams, your question is, you ran for chief before and failed, and sheriff before and did not win. Many are asking what makes this race different for you?
I never ran for chief before. I ran for sheriff.
Oh, sheriff.
In 2023. I ran for sheriff because I believed I could serve the people of St. Tammany Parish in a larger role, in a larger leadership capacity. I was willing to step up and step out, bring new ideas, bring new, things to the plate that wasn't being offered by our current sheriff. It allowed me to listen to thousands of people around this parish, community leaders, politicians, other elected officials that told me that, you're doing the right thing. I did get 30-some-odd thousand votes, so obviously I got my message out.
Yeah, you've been getting a lot of endorsements lately. In 30 seconds, which endorsements are you most proud of?
I have the mayor, former chief of police, Randy Fandle, our district attorney, Colin Sims. I have prior chiefs of police, Freddie Drennan, and I could go on with the list, but look at my website,
yeah,
you'll see
Mr.
them all.
Nico, you're endorsed by Randy Smith. Is that the most endorsement you're most proud of, or which ones are you proud of?
Well, he's a mentor of mine and a friend as well. And I do have some other endorsements coming down, but they're not officially wanting to admit that yet. So we're waiting for a strategic time to do that.
All right, thank you so much. That's time. We have to do closing remarks, so we'll start with you this time, Mr. Williams. Let's do 45 seconds, closing statements.
All right, thank you again for your good questions today. I'm running to be Slidell's next chief of police because leadership must deliver results, not just promises. Being chief of police requires a broad and diverse skill set, not just in law enforcement, but in everyday life. I have been proven leadership, I have management skills, I've been involved in this community for years now, providing all kinds of different things. My plan centers on 3 measurable priorities. Centers on data-driven policing, basically use the data that we collect on a daily basis to make sure that we are doing the right thing and providing the right, services to our citizens. My pledge is that I will be tough on crime and I will be able to build strong community relationships at the same time. Thank you.
That's time. Mr. Nico, closing statements, 45 seconds.
Thank you, Stella. Thank you. It's been an honor for me to be here today, and for the folks in Slidell to be able to watch and listen to what my heart says. At the end of the day, this is not just about a title. This is about community trust. Trust in someone who knows the community, knows its people, knows the department inside out, and has spent 35 years serving this community, not other communities, this community. I've been blessed with a great family, raised my children here. I've built a career doing what I love. It's a calling. I love it. That's why I've done 35 years. Serving the people in Slidell is one of my most proudest moments. I'm not a politician. I just do the job every day. I know what it takes to keep our officers and community strong and safe. And I understand that when you're sitting as a leader, we should be a role model. I just want to be the role model for people in Slidell, for us to do better and be better, and I will equip this department with the latest and greatest.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Brian Nico and Tommy Williams. Good luck to both you gentlemen. So remember, Election Day is May 16th. Go out and vote, and the latest you can find on our website on WDSU.com.